What's up, everyone? Welcome to week 18 of my NFL predictions. Last week I went 13-3, putting my current record at 182-74. And kicking off our first game, we have the Browns taking on the Ravens. The Browns losing to the Dolphins last week, and the Ravens crushing the Texans last week on Christmas. And, I gotta go with the Ravens here. The Ravens are a much better team. It's being played in Baltimore. And if the Ravens win this game, they clinch the AFC North, and I believe they also clinched a 3 seed. So give me the Ravens to win this one, 27-10. And our second game is also another AFC North matchup. We have the Bengals taking on the Steelers. The Bengals able to beat the Broncos last week to keep their slim playoff hopes alive. And the Steelers losing to the Chiefs last week on Christmas Day. And the Steelers, they can win this game and the Ravens end up losing to the Browns. They could still win their division. So they definitely have something to play for here. And this is going to be a really good game because this game could go either way. You got the Bengals, who have a worse record but have been playing better. Then you have the Steelers, who have a better record but have been playing worse recently. So, we'll see if the home field advantage can help them out enough. But I actually do think the Bengals are going to win this one. I just think they're in a much more desperate situation. And they just are going to give everything they have. The Steelers, you could argue, would be saving some room for the playoffs because they have actually already clinched the playoffs. So give me the Bengals here, 30-20. Alright, starting off the Sunday slate, we have the Texans taking on the Titans. Texans losing to the Ravens in humiliating fashion on Christmas Day. And the Titans losing to their arch-rival Jags in a game that they probably wanted to lose considering, draft position and all that. And I'm going over this game first just because, this game is one of those games where it doesn't really matter what happens, regarding playoffs because Texans will be the 4 seed regardless what happens throughout the rest of the NFL. And the Titans are obviously not going to make the playoffs with a 3-13 record, so game doesn't matter. I honestly think the Texans should rest starters, and I think there's a chance they will. And because of that, I'm going to pick the Titans to win 17-14. Alright, our next AFC South matchup, we have the Jags taking on the Colts. The Jags beating the Titans last week, fucking up their draft position. The Jags doing that to their own position by winning. And the Colts embarrassingly losing to the Giants last week, eliminating them from the playoffs. And this game doesn't really matter. Both teams are eliminated. And, they're still going to give everything they got because pride. And I'm going to go with the Colts because they're at home. Even though they're not that great of a team, the Jags are a whole other mess. So give me the Colts in this one, 23-20. Moving on, we got the Bills taking on the Patriots. The Bills crushing the Jets last week. And the Patriots getting crushed by the Chargers last week. So, another game that doesn't matter. Bills are guaranteed 2 seed. I don't know why the hell they would even consider playing their starters, considering how important a certain Josh Allen is to this team. You don't want to risk his health in a meaningless Week 18 game. And, the Patriots, if they lose this game, they could clinch the number 1 seed. So we'll see if they can do just that. And I do think they will. I think the Bills are going to win just slightly. And even though they're not playing their starters, I still think they're going to beat the Patriots in a pretty bad game. I'm going to say Bills win 10-7. 10-7. All right, next up we have an NFC South matchup between the Saints and the Bucks. The Saints losing to the Raiders last week in pretty humiliating fashion, and the Bucks able to crush the Panthers last week, keeping their playoff hopes alive. And there is a playoff implication here because if the Bucks win, they're in. And if they lose and the Falcons end up winning, then the Falcons would be in. So the Bucs definitely need to win this game. So we'll see if they can do that. I do think they will, because I'm not going to lie, the Saints look fucking terrible. Like, they've looked like one of the worst teams in December. And the Bucs are red hot right now. So I couldn't imagine the Bucs lose this game. I have them winning this one 33-20. All right, to the other NFC South matchup, we have the Panthers taking on the Falcons. The Panthers getting crushed by the Bucs last week, and the Falcons losing a heartbreaker to the Commanders, where they were oh so close to winning it. And that one could be a killer, because if they win that game, this is a win-and in game for the Falcons if they win that game last week. But unfortunately, they did not. And they will need to win this game and hope that the Bucs end up losing. That's the only way they can make the playoffs. And I do think the Falcons are going to win. They haven't been playing that great, but I do think they are a more talented team than the Panthers. So I'll have the Falcons winning this one 17-7, and who knows, maybe they'll get some help. All right, next up, we have an NFC East matchup between the Giants and the Eagles. The Giants frustratingly winning against the Colts last week and really messing up their draft position. And the Eagles, they were able to dominate the Cowboys last week despite no Jalen Hurts. So we'll see how they play in this game, because I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to play in this game either. And I think the Eagles actually have the 2 seed regardless of what happens. So I really don't think they're going to play that many of their starters. We'll see what they do, because, I mean, you never know with these teams. And Saquon Barkley could still break the rushing record, so there's a chance that he would play. And, I mean, I do think the Eagles are going to win, just because they're that much more talented than the Giants. So give me the Eagles in this one, 23-17. All right, to the other NFC East matchup, we got the Commanders taking on the Cowboys. The Commanders making it pretty close with the Falcons on Sunday Night Football, but a win is a win, and the Cowboys losing by a lot to the Eagles last week, despite them not even playing Jalen Hurts. So pretty embarrassing for the Cowboys there. And the Commanders, the playoff situation here is the Commanders can, I believe, clinch the 6th seed if they win this game. So we'll see if they can do just that. Cowboys obviously are eliminated. So I do think the Commanders are going to end up winning this game, because, they're a lot better team than the Cowboys. The Cowboys did beat the Commanders earlier in the year, but I don't think that's going to happen again. I have the Commanders winning this one 31-17. All right, next up, we got an NFC North matchup. We have the Bears taking on the Packers. The Bears losing by 3 to the Seahawks in a really boring game on Thursday Night Football. It was only 6-3. Pretty fucking awful game, to be honest. And the Packers losing to the Vikings last week. And that, I believe, dropped them all the way down to the 7th seed, because they were the 6th seed, but because they lost and the Commanders won, the Commanders took their spot. And the Packers, they need some help. They'll be in the playoffs regardless. They'll be the 7th seed at least. But if they want to be the 6th seed, they need to win and hope the Commanders lose. So we'll see if that happens. I do definitely think the Packers will win this game, so I don't think the Packers need to worry too much about the Bears, because the Bears have just been a dumpster fire ever since they gave up a Hail Mary in Week 7, I believe it was. Week 7 or Week 8, I can't remember. So I'm going to take the Packers in this one, 24-10, to extend their winning streak against the Bears. All right, starting off the 4 o'clock slate, we have the 49ers taking on the Cardinals. The 49ers losing on Monday Night Football to the Lions, and the Cardinals losing to the Rams on Saturday Night Football. And I mean, this game does not matter whatsoever because both teams are eliminated from playoff contention. The only thing that matters is draft position. And I mean, I'm going to go with the 49ers in this one just because their roster is significantly more talented. And honestly, I think Brock Purdy's been a decent quarterback this season. I don't think the reason the 49ers struggles are not because of him. I know a lot of people shit on him, but I think he's a good quarterback. And I think that's going to make the 49ers have an advantage in this game despite being on the road. And not to mention, Kyler Murray is extremely inconsistent when it comes to later in the year. So give me the 49ers in this one, 16-15. All right, next up, we have the Seahawks taking on the Rams. The Seahawks beating the Bears last week on Thursday Night Football. And, I mean, they won, but it ended up not mattering. So they ended up getting eliminated from the playoffs anyway, due to the Rams beating the Cardinals on Saturday Night Football, as I just mentioned, and the strength of schedule thing with the Rams, having a better win percentage thing. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But the point is, Seahawks are not going to be able to make the playoffs, and the Rams have clinched a playoff spot, clinching the division. And the only thing the Rams can play for, I believe, is maybe be the 3 seed instead of the 4 seed. If I'm not mistaken, if they end up winning, they could, I guarantee, the 3 seed. And if they lose, they could go down to the 4 seed if the Bucs win. I could be wrong on that, but I mean, that's the only way I think the Rams would have any indication to play their starters, which I honestly don't think they're going to because I saw something that said they aren't. And because of the uncertainty there, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Seahawks to win this one with a score of 27-21. All right, next up, we have the Chargers taking on the Raiders. The Chargers crushing the Patriots last week, and the Raiders beating the Saints last week, messing up their draft selection even more. And, I mean, the Chargers, if they win this game, I believe they have a chance to be the 5 seed. And because the Steelers currently are the 5 seed, and if the Steelers lose and the Chargers win, then they would get it. Because the Steelers have head-to-head tiebreaker over them, and Raiders obviously eliminated. We don't got to talk about that. So I do think the Chargers are going to win this game. I think it's going to be close because the Raiders, for some reason, have been playing better these last 2 weeks, ended up winning their last 2 games despite it literally doing nothing good for the team. But I do think they will lose here. I think the Chargers will win 27-23. All right, next up, we have the Dolphins taking on the Jets. The Dolphins able to beat the Browns last week despite them not having Tua play that week due to some kind of injury. I don't remember what it was. And the Jets getting crushed by the Bills last week in a game where they just had no chance. Like, the Bills are just on fire, and the Jets could not stop Josh Allen to save their life. And it seems that Tua will not be playing in this game either because of that injury that I talked about that I still don't know what it is for some reason. And I think it's going to be cold too. And the Dolphins struggle in cold weather a lot. And the Dolphins, they need to win this game. If they win this game and the Broncos lose to the Chiefs, then the Dolphins will end up getting the 7 seed. So must win for the Dolphins. But I don't see it happening. I actually think the Jets are going to win just because the Jets are at home. It's going to be cold. The Jets are healthier, which, I mean, doesn't really matter for them because they're way out of the playoffs. But I think it will mess up the Dolphins' chances of getting into the playoffs. So give me the Jets 19-10. All right, our final 4 o'clock game that we'll be talking about is the Chiefs taking on the Broncos. The Chiefs beating the Steelers last week, clinching the number 1 seed, and the Broncos losing to the Bengals last week, not clinching a playoff spot that week. But the good news is they can still clinch one this week with a win or a Dolphins loss and a Bengals loss. And we'll see how those games play out. And I think with the Broncos, you gotta win this game. The Chiefs are literally resting all of their starters. Patrick Mahomes is not playing. Travis Kelce is not playing. Chris Jones is not playing. Trent McDuffie's not playing. Kareem Hunt's not playing. There's so many players that they do not have to worry about. They're at home. They almost beat the Chiefs last year, like the actual Chiefs, last time they played. So, yeah, this we need to win this game. If we don't win this game, I'm going to be fucking pissed. So, yeah, well, I think we will. I think we should not struggle with the Chiefs' backups. So, I will say the Broncos win this one 20-17. And finally, ending the 2024 regular season, we have the Vikings taking on the Lions in a battle for the number 1 seed in the NFC, and the NFC North too, for that matter. And the Vikings, they were able to beat the Packers last week in a game that was a lot more stressful than it really needed to be. And if you're a Vikings fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the Lions, they were able to take care of business against the 49ers last week in a game where they didn't necessarily have to win, but it's good that they did just because, momentum and things like that. And this is going to be a really good game. I'm really looking forward to this game because it's two teams that have high-powered offenses, and it's two teams that, really, I just haven't seen these teams do well ever in the past few seasons. So I really would love to see one of these teams be the 1 seed, and that's what's going to happen. And I'm going to have to go with the Vikings because the Vikings are healthier on defense, and I think that's going to make enough of a difference for them to win this game. I have them winning this shootout 33-30 and getting the number 1 seed. And that's going to do it for predictions this week. Here's all of the predictions lined up if you want to look at all of them real quick. And yeah, that's going to do it for my regular season 2024 NFL predictions. I hope you enjoyed. I'll have playoff predictions when the playoffs roll around. And yeah, I'll see you guys for those videos, and peace out.